Today we're gonna do a deep dive on all things from the video that I posted last Monday, which was a BOSE football commercial thing. So today we're gonna break it down. Today's video is sponsored by Artlist. Today's itinerary is pretty simple. I think it makes sense to cover the concept, the pre-production phase, the production phase, the post-production phase, and then we'll just have some closing thoughts at the end. If you haven't watched that video already, make sure you do so. It might help, or maybe it's more beneficial for you to watch this first. Pretty much the main purpose for making this was for the sheer joy of making and also just having something that I can share with you all here on YouTube. This concept basically came to be, in my notes app, I have millions of project ideas that I've just accumulated over time. Whenever I think of something, I jot it down. And going through my notes app, I knew I wanted to do something simple and then something fun that I could share with you all. And this one just kind of stood out like a headphone commercial where a boy is in a trance thinking about a girl. I love just taking some random thought and idea and actually turning it into a tangible thing that you can share with people. So yeah, of course this isn't the greatest idea that ever exists, but it gave me an opportunity to just make something without stalling. So I'm gonna take you into my laptop here, and I do most of my pre-production in an application called Millnote. You know, I had this idea for a headphone commercial where a boy gets nervous, and it's football season, I'm a big football fan, so I wanted to find a way to integrate the sport of football into this somehow. If you watch the actual video, there's no football happening. It's basically just playing dress up. Through just brainstorming and just throwing anything at the wall, I kind of came up with the concept of a girl telling a boy that she's gonna be at his game tonight. He gets nervous, which is the perfect opportunity to use the headphones as a device to kind of take him to his comfort zone. So one major thing that I do while I'm doing that brainstorming, trying to think of ideas, is I listen to potential music that would be actually in the video itself. I found a ton of great music on Artlist, which I've been using for so long. So I took any music that I found here in Artlist, pulled it into my board, and while I'm conceptualizing, I'm just listening to music, trying to find what could potentially be the best fit for that zone where he's in his comfort. And I found a lot of good ideas, but some were kind of boring. And then I found this song called Neon Affair by Notarize. And it kind of had this really vibey, I don't know, all-encompassing production feel to it that I thought would pair really well with this aggressive sport of football where guys are going crazy in the locker room. And then you hear a song like this that's kind of I don't know, euphoric and club-like, and all I imagined was slow motions of football players getting hype and hitting our main character on the shoulder pads. So this song really inspired a lot of that slow motion stuff from the actual video itself. Yeah, if you're looking for really great music, really great sound effects and other assets, check out Artlist. They got a lot of really great stuff on there. This project is filled to the brim with sound effects and music from Artlist, and it feels like such a great production. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the link in my description below where you get 2 free months off when you sign up for an annual subscription. So then I put together a storyboard with all the ideas that I had, just trying to make it fit into a cohesive piece. And this is really what you're gonna use to share with cast, crew, to communicate your idea, to get people on board and to understand what you're trying to get at. So I spent a lot of time on my storyboards, mostly use reference photos. I don't really have time or budget to hire someone to draw something, or I draw something specifically myself. So I do a lot of reference seeking, whether I'm watching a Netflix show, pulling images from a shot deck or something similar to that. I like to crop all the reference photos into the aspect ratio that I want to shoot the project in. So I wanted to shoot my project in 2.35 aspect ratio, and I made the effort to crop every single reference photo into that same photo, and it just looks clean, and it looks better when you're trying to get people on board. Moving on to pre-production, highlighted a lot of the crew that was present in the BTS video that you saw. It's my go-to group. I have a lot of fun working with these people. I always say making stuff is really hard, so it helps to have people that you really enjoy spending time with. I always say I bring dogs on set, people who are just gonna get their hands dirty, be willing to do whatever it is that it takes to get the shot. In terms of cast, our lead, Nick Stoser, I found Nick while casting my movie, I Think I'm Sick. I think I initially found him on Backstage, booked Nick a train ticket, brought him down. He was a blast to work with. Then the female lead, Sophie Gustafsson, same kind of situation with casting through ITIS, and found her, I think, as well through Backstage. I like using like all the little filters and stuff that they have on there. Then in terms of extras, just pulled people from different areas, some friends from Instagram that I've communicated with in the past who have wanted to come on set. Then my buddy Pat brought some guys from his hockey team. Having a lot of extras in a scene is super helpful for making smaller production things feel bigger than they actually are. We had a great group of guys. They really set the tone for the energy of the day. And budget's a big one that a lot of people ask. A lot of things go into the budget. There's the cast, crew, locations, there's wardrobe, there's food that you're feeding the crew, there's transportation, there's all types of things that factor into it. I know the total budget came out to be around $4,000 for this production. I really see it as I'm investing myself, investing in my portfolio, creating work that I can put out in the world, because that always comes back tenfold. Gear, if you watch the BTS video, we shot pretty much majority on this on Carlo's Sony Venice that he owns, which is sick that he owns it. And then on specialty shots, we used my Sony FX3. Carlo has an FX3, and just kept it simple. I really like that workflow. The cameras match really well, and we're not spending too much time trying to get the Venice on like a steady cam. And then in terms of production, a lot of the BTS video, you see what's happening on production, so I don't want to spend too much time in this segment, but just want to answer a couple questions that people had. Lighting stuff, I think our DP Carlo, who has a YouTube channel, is going to do a lighting breakdown that's more specific on his channel. But really, like, my direction to him as a cinematographer is keep it lean, keep it minimal, just kind of augment the natural things that are already there. So specifically in this hallway scene, we have, you know, the fluorescent tubes that are running through the hallway, and how do we just accent that to make the image obviously look a little prettier. I'm really big on just using what's already in the space and just motivating off of that. One light in particular that a lot of people asked me about was the party light from the dream scene that everyone was seeing. This shooting rays through the haze, and it kind of created this really cool look that I think we were all really pumped on. This was a $9 light that I found on Amazon, and I texted Carlo. I was like, hey, I found a light that I think you're gonna think is really cool. So I think this light was kind of the hero. It was only like $9, so we ended up calling it the 9 on set. Like, hey, can you move the 9, adjust the 9 there? I'll leave the Amazon link in the description below if you want to check out that party light. And something you didn't see in the behind the scenes were all these like little insert shots of like this little radio, this little record player. Those are all just things that I shot on my own within this room that I'm sitting in right now. Those shots are really easy for me to get. I use my FX3. I screw on my macro lens filters that I've showed in previous videos, and I'll link those again below. They're pretty inexpensive. So moving on to the post-production aspect of this video, I did all the post-production stuff myself. Edit, color, sound design, sound mix. I really enjoy doing all the post-production stuff. Still learning, trying to figure it all out. Still really trying to hone my skills. In coloring, I'm trying to learn DaVinci Resolve. I'm still trying to figure out better sound mixing techniques and whatnot. And sound design is always something that I felt like I've been really good at, and I was able to really flex on this video itself. A lot of the sounds were recorded brilliantly by Juan Ortiz on set, like the sound of him vomiting in the toilet. Then of course there's a lot of really great sounds in here that I used to augment the entire production, and those are sound effects that I pulled from Artlist. You're seeing my buddy Pat, who's playing extras, screaming in Nick's face. So the sound that you're hearing there from Artlist is the sound of a whale moaning underwater, and I thought it just matched so well with the clip of him yelling at him. And I added all these like whale underwater sounds this entire scene to kind of give it like a little bit more. Yeah, so if you come in here you hear the sounds of the whales, and I just kind of manipulated them within Premiere here to give us a sound that matches him the best. I'm a big fan of using music tracks as sound design itself, especially here in this locker room. I'll just single out the song. I took a song that, you know, I would suspect would be playing in a high school football locker room from Artlist, and I manipulated it pretty much to kind of feel like it's coming from the environment that it's in. You know, you're not gonna hear it really crisp and cleanly. You're gonna hear more of the low end bass tones of it. To do that, I added some studio reverb, and then I came into the Paramic equalizer that I added. I threw on the old time radio effect, and then just pulled down the high end so you were getting more of that low bassy sound. I'll turn it on. So those are obviously more flashy sound effects, and there's obviously the Foley aspect, which is something that I feel like a lot of people miss when they're doing their sound design, and it takes away from the actual production itself. So there's little things like, let me find something. So when Nick goes to close his locker, right off the bat, as he's closing the locker, there's no sound. Like, I just wanted there to be like this little squeak happening when he's going to close this locker. So I found a sound called doors, locker doors squeaking, closing, on Artlist. I think it's this one that I pulled from. Yep, there it is. This locker that has no sound when it's closing just added this little squeak. You hear that? It's so subtle. And it adds so much, in my opinion, subconsciously to the viewer who might not have caught that the first time around. And it's the little things like that make a video better. So color grading, I'm using DaVinci Resolve. This is my node tree that you're looking at from coloring this project. I don't know if it's like the exact right way of how to do it. I'm sure it's not. I'm still trying to learn from other channels. Don't copy this directly, but essentially all I wanted to do was turn it into a CineLog format so I can use a print emulation, have like that filmic texture, obviously from like that codec print emulation that is already in DaVinci Resolve. I do not think this is perfect, still work in progress, but best I could do for this project. I actually sent it to a colorist friend of mine and asked him on a scale of 1 to 10 what he thought. He rated it a 6 out of 10 and gave feedback. So took that feedback, and I think I brought it up from a 6 to like a 7.5. Yeah, that's it. That's the deep dive. Hopefully I answered a lot of your questions. Closing remarks for anyone who's still here. We made something. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is there room for improvement? Of course, but such as the situation in any single project you're going to create. It's not an actual commercial. Like, if we were doing an actual commercial, we would have spent more time lighting the earbuds and doing all this extra stuff with the product, but it's not. It's just something for us to go out and make and have fun doing. It was a blast, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future. So thanks for supporting it, and thanks for watching. Check out Artlist if you're looking for great music, sound effects, like I said, link in my description below. And yeah, I love you. Bye.